The purpose of this video is to provide you with a brief overview of documenting an anesthesia record. In this video, we will cover starting a macro, documenting a med, documenting intake and output, documenting an action, and finalizing the record. We will begin this video by logging in as an anesthesiologist. Once you log in, this will open the application to the case selection screen. Highlight the case that you'd like to check in. Click OK to open. The Verify Case screen will display you the information for accuracy, and then click the green check mark. Click OK. Note, in some situations, the anesthesia record may need to be started before the surgical case has actually been scheduled. In this situation, a blank anesthesia record can be created by clicking on the blank record button instead of selecting the case. The blank record can be manually associated to the surgical case later. Associating the devices, if documenting in a location that has anesthesia devices mapped to it, those devices will automatically be associated to the patient record. However, if there are no devices mapped, or the computer you're using is not mapped to a location, then you'll be prompted to associate the appropriate devices in documentation. For the purpose of this video, when the Select Device screen displays, simply click Cancel to close the window. You will be prompted with a pop-up screen that asks you, do you wish to start your time? The screen will display the current date and time. You have the option of entering yes or no. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will select yes. We will now move on to starting a macro. After opening the case, a macro can be used to assist in documentation. A macro will enter all of the medications, fluids, monitored values, actions related to the case by just the click of a button. First, click on the macro toolbar. Select the macro by clicking on the related button. Under the Other tab, select General Anesthetics, SBC. Under piperacillin, 4 grams, you can go ahead and uncheck that. Move the lactated ringers to the to-do list. The components of the macro will be seen in the pop-up dialog box. Components of the macro can be verified, executed, or moved to the to-do list, depending on the procedure. Once the contents of the macro are verified, click the Execute button in the lower right-hand corner. You will now see your actions in the to-do box in the left-hand side of the screen. When documenting a med, when the macro executed, midazolam was added to the document. However, additional detail around the administration needs to be completed. In the document grid, double-click on midazolam. Enter the appropriate dosage. The dose amount is 5 milligrams. The route is already selected for your IV. Also notice that you can add your site. It's optional, but if you'd prefer to fill it in, this is where you can do it. When you're finished, click OK. You'll notice that your new dosage amount will appear on the screen. We're now going to move on to documenting intake. Macro executed lactated ringers were added to the to-do list. It has been administered and now it needs to be documented. Scroll through to the to-do list to find lactated ringers. Highlight it in the list, double-click it to move it onto the grid, and once it's on the grid, click on it, and that will open it to see the details. Enter the proper volume and rate information. The volume and rate is going to be 10 milliliters. Route IV, and again, the site will be optional. Click on the Start Bag button to start the administration. The solution will now show up on the screen. When documenting an output, click on the Output tab. Double-click the Urine Voided button. Enter the appropriate incremental urine voided 120 milliliters. When you click OK, the urine output will show up on the screen. We will now document a new action. Actions will make up a majority of the anesthesia record outside of medication and fluids. Actions might include things like times, positions, airway management procedures, notes, and billing notifiers. Some actions may not be included in the medical documentation and will need to be added. Go ahead and click on the Actions tab. Click the Notes category button. Double-click the free text note. Inside the action detail, just click on the Note button. The note box on the right, enter your free text information. When you're finished putting in your information, just click OK. When you're finished, the free text note will show up at the bottom of the screen. If you hover over the notebook icon, you can see the content of your note. We are now going to finalize the record. When an anesthesia record is completed, it needs to be signed and finalized. This will also make the information inside the record available in a patient's chart. Click on Task in the menu bar, and then click Finalize Case. If there are any fluids that need stop times or monitored still running, they will be seen in a Stop Data window. With everything selected, click Unselect All, Stop All, and click the OK button. If there are any actions that have any required fields that aren't signatured, they will be seen in the Deficiency section. Click the Edit icon to edit the deficient item. Once the deficiency is accounted for, that item will disappear from the finalized dialog. Clicking the Ignore checkbox will ignore the deficiency and will allow the finalization to occur. If there are any items left in the to-do list, they will display in the to-do list section. For the purpose of this demonstration, these can be ignored also by clicking on the Ignore button. Click on the Sign button to sign the record. Go ahead and enter your username and password. Click Finalize. You have successfully documented your case. Thank you very much, and we hope that this demonstration has helped you with documenting an anesthesia record.